your forecast first. Sponsored by Matex Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. As we start off the work week, it's going to be somewhat cloudy here early this morning, but the day overall going to be more sunny, hot, and humid as that air mass starts to take over for us. Things for the time being, though, are pretty quiet as far as our temperatures. The lower 70s farther to the east. We got some 60s farther to the west, where we've had a bit more of those clear skies. Here's a look at your day planner. We'll get those numbers back up to around the 90-degree mark, but it'll feel even hotter than that. We'll talk about that as some possible tropical moisture trying to head its way up here later on into the work week. Coming up, WCIA 3 News starts now.
You're watching your local news leader. This is The Morning Show on WCIA 3 News.
And I got there at 10 a.m. this morning, which is when they opened, and I stood in line for about an hour and a half.
Well, fall semester for U of I students starts today, and some people are already frustrated with how long it took them to get tested for COVID-19. Thanks for joining us. I'm McLeod Hageman.
And I'm Christy Batista. On weekends, 5 of the 17 university testing sites are open, and a lot of students wanted to get that last test in before the semester starts.
And they had to wait in line for at least 90 minutes over the weekend. Students will be on testing schedules throughout the fall semester. However, many students were upset about how their first test went.
I know a lot of students just don't know when their testing schedules are and are probably just trying to get in that last negative test so they can get into the buildings for this week. But yeah, I would have expected to see more locations open the weekend prior to classes starting.
And the U of I says they're working on increasing staff for weekends so they can reduce a lot of those wait times.
The Champaign and Urbana school districts also start their fall semesters today. Many schools are looking to the Illinois State Board of Education for guidance. WCIA 3's Jen Lass caught up with the state superintendent and asked her about this fall's challenges.
Never in my wildest dreams did I think being state superintendent I would be faced with the pandemic.
Dr. Carmen Ayala spent the summer working with educators across the state to come up with a plan A and a plan B, and yes, a plan C as well.
The virus is changing, on a daily, weekly basis. And I think that part of the decision making is waiting to see, where this virus leads us.
While the school closures across the state this spring were certainly unprecedented in many ways, Ayala and her team are looking at the lessons learned from Hurricane Katrina as education was disrupted for months in the aftermath.
Almost an entire quarter of the school year went under emergency conditions and remote learning. And so a lot has been learned. I know that school districts have been preparing all summer as well, anticipating that there would be the possibility of needing to go remote learning.
For those that go remote, ISB is requiring 5 full hours a day of learning, with at least half of that time being synchronous. ISB is also mapping out priority standards to help teachers determine what they'll need to spend more time on.
I think that there is so much energy and passion and just love for our students and making sure that they're very taken care of as best as we can. I just want to make sure that they hear that that is noticed, it is appreciated, and that together we're going to get through this.
Out there right now, we're noticing a lot of quiet conditions here. There are going to be a few spots that you'll notice as you head out early this morning. There might be a few clouds, but most of those are going to be farther to the east. The rest of us westward, closer to I-55, are fairly quiet, but your Roofing Dog Guided Weather Camera Network here. Quiet as we start off this morning, and let's go ahead and take a look at Storm Tracker Doppler because things are quiet for us this way, but you go farther south and you do have some active weather that's happening. Tropics pretty active, and this is not the only system that's going to be impacting parts of the U.S. here as we go throughout the course of the work week. But this is the closest one for right now. This is Marco. The second one, Laura, it's going to be coming in behind that, and that might have some impacts on our forecast later on into the week. Temperatures in the lower 70s in Champaign, 68 in Springfield, 73 in Chicago. So overall, really only thing that we're going to have to worry about is just more the sun and more the heat. That's going to be in place for the next few days. Still pretty dry, too. I know some of us would like to get some of that rain, so we'll keep an eye on that tropical moisture as it heads our way. Maybe we can get some raindrops in here and start to saturate this ground just a bit more. But if you're going to be out into any part of the region as we go throughout this afternoon or for the next few afternoons, high heat and humidity are going to be the main story. We got some heat indices closer to 100. We'll talk about that coming up later. Mac?
All right, thank you, Anna. Well, police are investigating 2 shootings in Champaign that sent 5 people to the hospital. The first shooting happened on Bloomington Road near Willis Avenue. It's the same area where a 22-year-old man was shot and killed earlier this month. Police say in this case they found a 29-year-old man with 2 gunshot wounds where a group had been gathered outside a local business. Police believe the suspect's car ran over the shooting victim while they were leaving the scene, and that hurt his leg. He was then taken to the hospital for treatment. And the second shooting happened on Kenwood Road. Police say that happened at a party taking place outside an apartment complex when a fight broke out. 4 men with gunshot wounds were taken to the hospital, and one of them was even hit in the chest. We are working to learn whether those shootings were in fact connected and how they're recovering. Well, new this morning, a 17-year-old is expected to be in court for sentencing this afternoon.
He pleaded guilty to unlawful possession of a firearm last month. He was found with a loaded handgun in a car in January. At the time, police were investigating a shooting that took place at Marketplace Mall.
And police say 2 people were killed at a crash in Decatur. They say a 58-year-old man on a motorcycle with a 60-year-old female passenger veered into traffic and hit a car near West Main Streets in South Dipper Lane. Neither of them were wearing helmets and they died on scene. We are working to learn what led up to that crash.
Springfield police are looking for a driver who hit a child and then took off. 7-year-old Jax Thornley was riding his bike home from a friend's house in the Palisades subdivision. He was hit by a car after it didn't stop at a stop sign. Jax walked home and was taken to the hospital in Springfield.
Distracted, driving is a thing. And whether it's a phone or, driving while intoxicated or sleepy, just driving a vehicle unaware of your surroundings is not okay.
Jax is now back home. Police are looking for a small white car with damage to the passenger side of it. Firefighters are working to learn what caused a fire.
That's right. This happened on the property where a popular haunted house lies. Crews responded to the 1200 block of East 12th Street in Georgetown. That's the home of the haunted hideaway. Now, once they got there, they decided to call in more enforcements.
Our engine arrived on scene. They reported they had 2 outbuilding structures on fire. We went ahead and struck a 3rd alarm for water and for additional personnel.
At least 10 departments were called in to help douse all those flames.
We have an update this morning. The Macon County coroner has identified the victim of a fire in Bethany as 5-year-old Elena Jarnigan. Preliminary autopsy results show she likely died from carbon monoxide intoxication. Jarnigan had been napping when the fire broke out. The Moultrie County Sheriff's Office and the state fire marshals are also investigating the cause.
Well, crews in Danville responded to a house fire over the weekend. This happened near Cone Drive and Edgewood. Officials say no one was inside, and they got the fire under control in about 30 minutes. A bedroom was damaged, and the rest of the home had smoke damage. Fortunately, nobody was hurt. Illini basketball coaches are expected to announce a new addition to the team.
Coming up in sports, we'll tell you all about him. We'll be right back.